The show begins with Lake County Park Ranger Garrett Briggs discovering a rapidly spreading forest fire. The scene then shifts to a chaotic traffic jam with blaring car horns and sirens. Inside a school bus, teenager Everett Lang, who suffers from anxiety, is on the phone with his therapist. Struggling to calm down, he asks for another tablet. Meanwhile, his therapist has to evacuate due to a fire in his building, diverting Everett's attention from the growing danger outside. A raging fire engulfs the forest bordering the street, and people start abandoning their cars for safety. Everett points this out to his classmate Blake, but she doesn't take it seriously. Moments later, all the students receive notifications that classes are canceled. Another student spreads the news that surrounding neighborhoods are also being evacuated due to the fires. Blake, who doesn't own a phone, starts worrying about her younger brother Danny, who is on the autism spectrum. Suddenly, wild animals, deer, rams, horses, wolves, storm out of the woods, causing mass chaos as everyone runs for safety. The students evacuate the bus, leading to people being trampled and injured as rams and horses charge through the confused crowd. As he tries to escape the chaos, Everett spots the reflection of a huge wolf-like animal growling in the distance. The scene quickly shifts to Blake, also fleeing. She notices the bus driver unconscious on the ground with a large claw mark on her face. Suddenly, Everett falls onto a car near her. Dazed and injured, he tries to stand as another car heads towards him. Blake saves him just in time and yells at him to get away before running towards her home. As she leaves, Everett notices a bite mark on her back, similar to the one on his shoulder. Blake hurries home, where her alcoholic father and younger brother, Danny, are getting into a car to evacuate. Inside, she packs her things and sees the bite mark on her back. With no time to deal with it, they leave to find a shelter before it's too late. Stuck in traffic, Blake offers to pay for a motel room, leading to an argument with her dad. Meanwhile, Everett, experiencing severe blurred vision, makes his way to the hospital. Before passing out, he tells a nurse that a wolf bit him. He later wakes up from a nightmare in a hospital bed. The hospital phone rings, and a mysterious voice warns him to leave the hospital immediately. The caller tells Everett that he has been bitten and something is hunting him, intending to kill before the next full moon. Spooked by the news, Everett sneaks out of the hospital that night. Meanwhile, Blake arrives at a motel with her father and brother. Young Danny notices her acne scars are gone, which surprises Blake. She checks in the mirror and finds it true, but then she starts hallucinating and sees Everett in the mirror. Impulsively, she rushes back to her house. In the next scene, we meet Harlan Briggs, a teenager at the same school as Everett and Blake. Openly gay, Harlan is at a club, flirting with the DJ. They head to the back for a heated makeout session, but Harlan's twin sister, Luna, interrupts. She hasn't heard from their adoptive father, a park ranger, since the fire started. Harlan brushes it off and tries to return to the fun. The twins also realize something is different about them despite it not being a full moon. Harlan's hearing and Luna's sense of smell have suddenly heightened. Luna then gets a call from the police saying their father's car has been found. The twins are werewolves. Since adolescence, Harlan and Luna believe they were abandoned by their biological father shortly after birth. Years ago, after an unusually gruesome forest fire, they were discovered as wolf cubs and adopted by Garrett. While Harlan cares for Garrett, he has never fully accepted him as his father and longs to meet his biological family. Meanwhile, Blake runs home at an unnaturally fast speed and finds Everett lurking around. She questions why he's following her, and they discuss how both were bitten and share similar scars. Blake notices Everett's scar, which appears as a gnarly glowing mark on his shoulder. He realizes he has gained years' worth of muscle in a single day. Their conversation is cut short by a giant wolf chasing them. Blake's dog tries to fend off the wolf while they sneak away and eventually escape. After outrunning the wolf, Blake has an anxiety attack. Everett, accustomed to dealing with anxiety, helps her through it using a breathing method. After calming down, Blake realizes she needs to get back to her family despite Everett's warning. Meanwhile, Everett receives a call from investigator Kristen Ramsey, who asks for his help in solving the case of the teenage arsonist responsible for the fire. She suggests it could be someone he knows, possibly even someone from the bus. The twins, Harlan and Luna, reach the spot where the police found their father's truck with giant claw marks on the side. They begin searching for Garrett in the jungle. Unbeknownst to them, Garrett is struggling to navigate through the woods, exhausted from the flames. He starts recording a message for them on a tape recorder but decides to press on, realizing his kids still need him. Suddenly, Harlan, Luna, Blake, and Everett all hear wolf noises in the distance, causing their eyes to roll back. Compelled by the sounds, they head deep into the woods and end up in a parking lot, puzzled about how and why they were drawn there. Their eyes start glowing yellow, and Harlan tries to silence Luna as she realizes this might be the pack she's been searching for. A wolf howl panics Blake, causing her to run, with the others following her. They realize they are running towards the fire and soon encounter firefighters, including one who had earlier advised Luna and Harlan to go home. Harlan insists that revealing their secrets to Everett and Blake could put the twins in danger, but Luna believes they are now part of the secret too and plans to share it with them. Later that night, both Blake and Everett struggle to fall asleep but eventually do and sleep through the day. Blake dreams of lying next to Everett and wakes up scared in her motel room, where her brother is watching the news. Their stressed father joins them, revealing they lack home insurance due to missed payments. The next morning, Everett's mother asks him to forget about their previous altercation and informs him that officers Ramsey and Miller are downstairs to question him. During the questioning, Everett explains he ran from the hospital to meet Blake, but the officers remain skeptical. Ramsey doesn't believe he is the arsonist but suspects he's hiding something. She explains that arsonists often start young, typically due to mental health issues, and asks about the students on the bus with him. The officers then head to the motel to question Blake. Meanwhile, Everett's friend Connor reveals he was also bitten, claiming it was by a coyote. Everett advises him to get it checked by a doctor and to keep him updated. That night, while getting a tetanus shot at the hospital, Connor experiences acute pain and is given painkillers. Despite the high dose, he remains awake. Later, he receives a call from a mysterious stranger urging him to run away or be killed. Terrified, Connor tries to escape despite his leg being in a cast. As Connor notices the giant wolf-like creature outside the hospital door, he immediately calls Everett and explains everything. Everett, who is with Blake at the motel, rushes to the hospital. At the same time, the twins arrive at the hospital upon hearing news about their adoptive father being found. Meanwhile, in the hospital basement, Connor is chased by the werewolf he saw earlier. He escapes but gets his cast stuck in a fence. Breaking free from the cast, he still can't evade the beast, which catches up to him. Later, Everett finds Connor's cast near the fence. Unfortunately, Officer Ramsey arrives and catches Everett, assuming he's involved. In a flashback, a group including Phoebe watches the fire, with suspicions about Blake due to changes after her parents' divorce. Police intervene before a werewolf nears them. Presently, Officer Ramsey takes Everett, Blake, Luna, and Harlan to the police station for questioning. Harlan advises them to lie, claiming they were smoking weed. Separated for questioning, Everett struggles to lie smoothly. Harlan hears this and comments from another room, surprisingly audible to Everett. The two girls and the boys suddenly realize they can communicate from their separate interrogation rooms. Officer Ramsey begins playing mind games with Everett, who expresses a desire to speak with a lawyer. Ramsey clarifies they are not under arrest and discusses anxiety as a threat response. She asks Everett what is currently worrying him. In another room, Officer Miller questions Harlan, who immediately demands a lawyer. Angry, Miller pushes Harlan, and when Harlan tries to defend himself, Miller arrests him for assaulting an officer. Garrett arrives just in time to intervene and save his son from further trouble. Outside the police station, someone slashes Phoebe's tires while she's in her car, trapping her there. She activates her car alarm in fear. Fortunately, her father arrives to pick her up before any further incident occurs. Outside, Phoebe is frightened as someone slashes her car's tires, activating the alarm. Thankfully, her father arrives in time to pick her up before anything worse happens. Inside the police station, Ramsey informs Garrett that the 4 teenagers volunteered for questioning, but Blake challenges her. Luna insists that Garrett take the other 2 kids home since they're similar to them. Garrett agrees, and they all leave together. In the car, Everett shares with Garrett about the bite, the strange phone calls, and his friend Connor. Garrett reveals that something hit his truck during the fire, trapping him, but he's unsure what it was. They arrive home, where Garrett gathers his children for a personal conversation. Inside the house, Garrett's daughter Luna reveals feeling a connection with the 2 new kids, but Harlan disagrees. The park ranger believes Everett and Blake, not born as werewolves, may be different from them. He fears Luna and Harlan might change, possibly turning to hunting animals or even people now that they have a pack. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Everett and Blake experience an intense physical attraction due to the full moon. Blake confides that someone left a mysterious warning in their motel room, suggesting her family isn't safe from her anymore. Shortly after, Phoebe calls Harlan, accusing Blake of slashing her tires. Concerned, Garrett leaves to check on Phoebe, leaving Everett, Blake, Luna, and Harlan alone. After discussing their newfound abilities, Harlan's hearing, Luna's sense of smell, Everett's strength and Blake's speed, Officer Miller approaches the house, prompting Harlan to hide inside, with Luna sending Everett and Blake to a basement room. When Harlan finally steps out, Miller assaults him, leading Luna to urgently call her father, Garrett. As Miller threatens Harlan, a werewolf arrives, dragging Miller into the forest and killing him. Garrett, hearing everything over the phone, directs Luna and Harlan to retrieve a special rifle with silver bullets from the stables. Meanwhile, Everett and Blake receive a warning call not to leave the house due to the full moon. Despite this, Blake ventures out, with Everett following to stop her. The werewolf corners Everett but doesn't attack, leaving when Harlan fires a silver bullet. Luna believes the werewolf spared them because they're now part of its pack. In the final scene, Garrett returns to find the kids safe. Luna and Harlan confront him about the silver bullets, and Garrett admits he made them to kill werewolves, including Luna and Harlan. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Check out these other videos for more great content. See you in the next one.